think when people think about, Remembrance Day, they think about, the First World War, the Second World War. And because it's what they know, because it was so public, because there's been so much talked about it, but there's so much more happened since then. There's so much sacrifice been made and willingly been made by across all three services. I think one of the things were, like a lot of people, I didn't actually know what I wanted to do, and my brother joined, so I thought, hey, give this a go.
I joined when I was 16, 1989. I did a year's basic training, and then I went into the Royal Artillery. Both my granddads were desert rats in the Second World War, and I thought I'd follow in their footsteps. I went off and I also joined the Desert Rats. So I was in Hohne in North Germany, which was the home of the Desert Rats after the Second World War, up near Belsen. I was up there and I served 22 years up there.
I joined the army in 1989. I actually was working in Lincoln. I was recruited in Lincoln, joined the Royal Artillery. The reason I joined the Royal Artillery was following in my father's footsteps. We've got a lot of gunners in the family. I come from a massive family military background. We all tend to do our service.
So I was in the Air Force for about 7 years. I was an aircraft electrician, and that was on fighter aircraft, so Tornadoes and through to the big VT-10s. So I had quite a wide range of experiences through that. I didn't want to join the RAF. My family is really Navy, coming from this area, from Fareham, Portsmouth, but they had too long a waiting list, and I wanted to be an engineer. So in the 80s was something a little bit strange. They said it was 3 years before I could join up in the Fleet Air Arms, so they said, go next door to the RAF, they'll take you, and I did, and they did. So
there's a saying in forces that you only ever remember the good times, and I'm quite sure there were challenging times. I think one of the proudest moments was in Bosnia, where we had to move a lot of displaced people. These people were from children to somebody's grandparents. They'd got all their worldly possessions in a couple of carrier bags. Anyway, we got to the destination, and the thanks and the look of relief on their faces was something I'll never ever forget.
I've really enjoyed all my time in the army, but I suppose one of the best ones I had was when I was in Iraq. I picked up a multiple commander, so I was newly promoted sergeant, and I took control of 12 guys as a multiple in Iraq. I really enjoyed the planning of patrols that I had to do, doing my patrol reports, and just generally looking after my guys on tour. It was a really, really good tour.
Yeah, I think for most people who've joined up, if you're passing out for a parade on your basic training is something that you really never forget. And that was something that, always makes me smile. And also my further trade training, I was the only girl, only engineer in the 80s, was, like I said, a bit different. And I got best recruit. So that was for me, considering they take into account PE and everything, which wasn't my strong point. I was very pleased with that, yeah.
I mean, my favourite times in the military, every single day. The worst time was leaving. I mean, I could have stopped in, but I didn't want a desk job. I like to be active service soldier, as most soldiers will be. I think my greatest memories has actually been on operations. The Gulf was great memories, the comradeship I have. Northern Ireland was great. Kosovo, not so good. The best time away anybody could get was 6 months in Cyprus doing the United Nations tour.
Remembrance for me is spans quite a long way, because it's for my granddad, who was in the Second World War and he served in Burma. Never really got over it, unfortunately. Through to while I was in the Air Force, a lot of my friends were killed by, unfortunately, the IRA. So it's a time for me to think about them and all the other people since that have lost their lives, serving for us. and I will shed a tear every year.
For me, Remembrance Day is just that time of personal reflection for me. You know, it's not so much a celebration or anything of Remembrance Day, but it's just being together. I suppose it's being thankful. You know, so many people have made the ultimate sacrifice to give us, our freedom. And, on the 11th, whatever day that falls on, around about 11 o'clock, if you ever see me, you'll see me, I'll just walk off somewhere and I'll just be on my own. And then it's back to work.
It allows me to celebrate the guys' lives that I've lost in the past. I've lost quite a few mates on tour, either with actions directly next to me or blokes in the regiment worldwide. So I can celebrate them. I like to do the remembrance bit as well, and I like a pint after, and with my family and my friends that are still knocking about with me in the old age. But yeah, it's really good.
It's the one time in the year I can really get to remember my mates that's no longer here. Even my mates that's still struggling, which I still have a few. My family that's no longer with us, that's served. It's that one day of the year I can really put to one side and just say thanks. And you're never forgotten. And I think about you all the time.
Remembrance Day is about honouring those who fought and died. It's about thanking and acknowledging the courage and the sacrifice of those who served our country. And it's a time also, I think, for us to remember and remind ourselves of the responsibility that we have to work for the peace that they fought so hard to achieve for us.
So for me, it's a clear reminder of the brave action of the men and women who fought in the world wars. I think it's also a reminder that when we see acts of hatred, oppression and racism today, that we should be confident that we can overcome them by coming together in the same way that our grandparents and great-grandparents did many years ago.